Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a drill. The classic point system is returning to Black Ops 7 Zombies. This has been the #1 thing I've been asking for this game ever since we've started talking about it. Even back with Black Ops 6, I wanted the classic point system. I wanted the classic point system back in Black Ops Cold War. It's been something that's been really missing from Call of Duty Zombies. I think the new point system is just downright not good, and it takes away that amazing early round progression that older Zombies had. But the Ghost of Hope has just made a tweet that Black Ops 7 will have 2 different modes at launch. There's going to be standard mode and there's going to be the classic mode. And the classic mode is apparently called Cursed. The classic mode will have its own separate wall buy, mystery box, and allowed weapon lists. No minimap. Perk limit will be 4. No Exfil. Classic point system. You will start with a pistol and there will be no armor. Now, of course, the idea of the classic mode has been leaked for a while now. Even before Black Ops 6 came out, we heard about a classic mode. So I was definitely expecting classic mode to come. I'm not really surprised by this. But the thing I'm surprised about is the fact that they are actually giving us the classic point system within this classic mode. We're going to go through each of the points that the Ghost of Hope mentioned in this leak, because some of these things I think make sense for this mode. Some of them I'm not as crazy about. And of course, there are some things missing on this list that I hope does make its way into the classic mode. And we'll also talk about the idea of the classic mode in general and why I still don't think it's the best thing they could have done for this game. I definitely think there was better ways for them to mix the modern and classic mechanics instead of splitting the mechanics into 2 separate modes. But in general, I'm thrilled they are doing this instead of doing nothing at all, because that would obviously suck quite a bit if they just repeated Black Ops 6's mechanics and didn't do anything similar to classic Zombies. So the first thing that's listed to come to this mode is the fact that it's going to have its own separate wall buy, mystery box, and allowed weapon list. Now, at first I didn't really understand what that meant, but I believe this is referring to what was the case in a lot of the classic Zombies games, that weapons that appear on the wall don't appear in the mystery box. So basically there's going to be different weapon pools for each of these things, which I think is totally fine. I don't necessarily need this. I feel like this is something that I could have gone without, but I'm totally fine that it's going to be there. Next is the fact that there's going to be no minimap in this mode, and obviously you can already turn off the minimap with the HUD customization in Black Ops 6, but the fact that it's just off by default in this mode is definitely a good thing. I'm happy about that. Then of course there's the perk limit of 4, and whether I think this is a good or bad thing solely depends on whether the maps actually have ways to earn more than 4, because personally I do like perk limits only if every single map in the game has ways to earn more than 4, and like a lot of ways to earn more than 4. So there should be multiple different side quests, multiple different side Easter eggs that let you get extra perks or extra perk slots in general. Either way, then I'm okay with the 4 perk limit, but if there isn't any of those quests in this game, or not that many of them, then I'm not going to be happy with this 4 perk limit. Honestly, I think they should expand it a little bit more to be like a 5 perk limit, or maybe even 6 perk limit, especially because this game might have more than 10 perks at launch. So I feel like it would make sense to expand it at least a little bit, but overall, I'm okay with there being a perk limit. I'm not against that whatsoever. It also says there's going to be no Exfil, which, to be honest, this is one that I don't really see the issue with Exfil. Like, I get it, it's not in classic Zombies, so it makes sense to just remove it. But I feel like Exfil doesn't really take anything away from the mode. It's just kind of there. I personally don't even use Exfil that often, so I'm not against it being taken away from this mode at all. I just don't think it had to be. But like I said, I don't really care for Exfil anyways, so it's totally fine that it's gone. And of course, the big bombshell is the fact that the classic point system is returning. This is so huge, and I can't tell you how happy I am that this is the case. So I just got to say, like, thank you to Treyarch, thank you to all the developers for taking all the feedback into account. And this is why I sit here and criticize this stuff all day long, because the only way these changes are made is through our feedback. And so people have been telling me throughout the past year, stop asking for the point system. It's pointless. They're not going to do it. Stop asking. This is why I keep asking, because they will eventually do it if enough people keep asking for it. Of course, you got to ask it in a respectful way, and it might happen. And so I'm very glad that this is happening, because honestly, everything I just mentioned, I was fully expecting to see in this classic mode. It was not a surprise to me whatsoever. But the classic point system, I was not expecting. I did not think they would do that, because that requires a lot of reworking of systems in order to make that work. And the fact that they're doing that is crazy to me. We don't know the specifics behind it. Maybe it won't work exactly like the classic point system, but it sounds like it's at least going to be closer to it. I mean, the Ghost of Hope literally just says the classic point system. So even if it's just similar to it, that is definitely a good thing, and I cannot wait to see how it plays. Of course, I would have preferred if this was just the core version of the game, like I said before, but it's better to be in a classic mode than not anywhere at all. So I'm definitely happy to see this. Obviously, there's going to be no loadouts in this mode. The starting pistol is returning, which this one is another one I was fully expecting to see, and I'm very glad it's happening because I personally am not a fan of loadouts. I still think they should have done that loadout wall buy idea that I had before. I really think this could have been mixed with the core mechanics of the game. I really don't think they had to do a separate mode for it, but regardless, I'm happy that it's here as a mode instead of not being there at all. And lastly, of course, there is going to be no armor, which this one does kind of surprise me because I was kind of expecting to see armor introduced in a different way in this mode. Maybe you have to craft it or something, but it sounds like armor is just simply not going to be in this mode, which I'm totally fine with that as well because I'm not a big fan of armor, so that's cool. But they obviously need to balance it out in a way to where there's also no armored zombies, because it really wouldn't work if you have armored zombies and like damage scaling and fast hitting zombies and super sprinters and stuff, and then not having armor. It just wouldn't really work that well, so I think they need to balance it accordingly. But overall, the idea of not having armor is perfectly fine with me. They just need to make sure they balance that properly. Like I said before, I don't think this is going to be literally every single change that this mode has. I think they are going to rebalance things like I just said, but I think there should be other like full mechanic changes they do in this mode as well. For example, rarities. I would love for rarities to just not exist in this mode, and it makes sense that rarities wouldn't exist because, well, if they have a starting pistol, they have the classic point system, there is no need for rarities at that point. Rarities are kind of pointless, so I think rarities should be taken out of this mode entirely. Every gun should have just a regular version of it, and it just gets better when you pack a punch it. I think that would make a lot of sense. It wasn't listed here, but it's entirely possible that it will actually be the case in this mode. I also think they should rework how stuff like salvage works. In my opinion, they should just remove salvage completely from this mode and make it so you just have to earn equipment, score streaks, and ammo mods through other means, whether it's through side Easter eggs or through the mystery box or through wall buys, whatever it may be. Just let us earn these things in other ways. Don't make it stuff that you can just buy with salvage. I think salvage should just be gone from this mode. But ultimately, my biggest concern with this mode is the fact that it is very likely the maps are going to be designed around those modern mechanics that are going to be available in the standard mode, as opposed to being designed around these classic mechanics. Now, I'm hoping that Treyarch managed to balance things properly so the maps still play good regardless of the mechanics, but I am worried that people are going to prefer to play the standard mode regardless, even if they prefer classic mechanics. Like myself, like I prefer classic mechanics, but if the game plays bad with those classic mechanics because the maps aren't designed around it, then that won't be good, and that'll definitely be something that could convince me to prefer to play the standard mode, even if I obviously prefer the classic mechanics. I also think they absolutely need to have better rewards in the classic mode, and Treyarch did mention a few weeks ago that they are planning to give some really cool rewards to hardcore fans in Black Ops 7 Zombies. So this could have been what they're referring to. Maybe there's going to be some exclusive rewards that you can get only with playing the classic mode. Maybe for doing the Easter eggs in classic mode, you get even better rewards, or getting around 100 or something like that. That will be great, and I'll definitely be happy with that. But you can't just throw in a classic mode and expect everyone to go play it if the maps aren't properly designed around them, and if you don't have interesting rewards and interesting reasons to play this mode that is obviously going to be harder than the standard mode. A lot of these concerns I have is the reason why I would have preferred they just combined the classic and modern mechanics together, and I know there are so many ideas that could have found an interesting combination between them. And I think it's very possible that maybe they will do that in the future. I really started to think about what the purpose of this classic mode would be, beyond the fact of just obviously making fans like me happy. I think they're also trying to test out whether or not they should go back to classic mechanics. I never expected them to just cold turkey go back to the classic mechanics, because I think a lot of the newer modern fans wouldn't be so happy about that. They'd be like, wait, this mode I've been playing since Black Ops Cold War has suddenly shifted into an entirely different game that I personally am not a fan of. Not speaking for myself, I'm talking in place of modern fans. So it makes sense they wouldn't just jump to those mechanics. That's why I always suggested the fact that they could lean into them a little bit by mixing them a little. But a classic mode could work too. That definitely could be a decent way of getting those fans to try out these mechanics and see if they enjoy them. And I'm really hoping that Treyarch is able to nail that for fans so they can really see how classic zombies actually played, which is why I am so happy they brought in the classic point system, because to me that is the most important aspect of classic zombies. It's what makes zombies what it was back in the day. And so if you did this classic mode without the classic point system, in my opinion, it just wouldn't have worked. It just straight up would not have been classic zombies at all. It would have been modern zombies, but with limitations, and that's it. But this actually sounds like they are going pretty far with trying to make it actually feel like classic zombies, which I am thrilled thrilled about. So I cannot wait to try this out for myself. And again, I just have to say thank you to Treyarch, and thank you to all the fans as well that have been giving a lot of feedback throughout the past year about zombies. And I think without that feedback, we wouldn't have gotten these changes. So I'm so happy that so many people kept asking for changes, and we are seeing it here. And I think honestly, in the future, by the time we get Black Ops 8, there's a high chance that they might actually find the perfect combination of the classic and modern mechanics to make the best possible zombies experience. But at least for this game, they seem to be just trying both systems separately, and I'm totally fine with that for now, especially because they're bringing back that classic point system. If they didn't bring that back, I would be here talking about how this classic mode is pointless and there's no reason to actually play it, considering it's not actually going to feel like classic zombies. But the fact that they're actually giving us the classic point system is absolutely insane. So I'm so happy that I can come on this video and say this, because I've been waiting to make a video like this for so long. Finally, we are getting the best part of classic zombies to return in Black Ops 7. I really think this is going to be a special zombies experience. This has increased my excitement by like 1000%, because you know I will definitely be playing this mode all of the time. I just hope they balance things properly and they make it actually worth playing, and that fans who are stuck in the FOMO grinds of zombies aren't going to feel like they have to only play the standard mode. I want fans to also be encouraged to play classic mode, and I think having a lot of exclusive rewards in that mode would be a great way to do that. I do think it is going to be a little bit weird having the community split up between two different modes the whole year. That's definitely going to be strange, but it will be kind of interesting to compare each mechanics directly in the same game. I'm really curious to see how that is. I'm almost guaranteed that the standard mode is going to have more players than the classic mode, and it's not because I think people prefer the newer modern mechanics. It's simply because the modern mechanic mode is going to be called standard mode and the classic mode is going to be called a cursed mode. I don't think the average person is going to even know what that is, nor are they going to take the time to learn what that is. They're just going to click the standard option. So I do think it'll probably be like 80% playing standard mode versus 20% playing classic. But at least if us classic fans can enjoy that, that's totally fine with me. But overall, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you are excited for the classic point system return, to please let me know in the comment section down below. I cannot wait to try this out for myself. I will see you all in my next one. Peace out.